My name is Junius. I've done 5 years of medical school so far. This year I'm taking a gap year, currently training Muay Thai in Thailand. And I just thought I'd make this video to share the 5 apps that I use in medical school that has helped me significantly. And these are pretty much the only 5 apps I use. So let's get started. The first 4 are just generic productivity apps, and the last one is specific to medical school. The first one, Forest. Now, I know I lose focus quite a bit, but Forest helps me stay focused. What it is, you plant a digital tree, not a real one, and then you can't use your phone during that time period that you allocated for that tree to grow. So for example, if I say 50 minutes, I can't touch my phone for 50 minutes. At the end of the 50 minutes, the tree would have grown, and then I can access my phone and communicate with others and waste time. So somehow when I make a promise to myself and set myself that I won't kill a tree for 50 minutes, even though the idea sounds a bit weird, somehow I keep to that promise and I stay focused for that 50 minutes. Keep a promise, make a promise, that helps me build confidence too. So Forest. Also, the alternative for Forest is Flora, I believe. I made a video about it there. So you don't need to pay money if you're on Apple. If you have an iOS device, you have to pay money for Forest. So Flora is the free alternative. I think Forest is free on Android. Number 2, Anki, which is a digital flashcard service. So instead of having physical flashcards, you can make your flashcards on your computer or download somebody else's flashcards and then revise it. And I use the Anki app to revise it. Now, I like this when I'm really, focused on a particular test that I need to cram for or study for. When I'm on the train or when I'm at the grocery store lining up. Actually, I don't really line up at the groceries anymore. I do click and collect. That's a different story. But like when there are moments of time where I have nothing to do, like waiting for food, and I really, really need to study, I just bash out a few Anki cards on my phone. So Anki is a great app for that. I made a review about it here. I think it's worth the amount I had to pay for it, even though it was a lot. It's a great app. And it's pretty much the same as the desktop version, if you're wondering. So Anki. Number 3, Notion. So I use Notion kind of like a flashcard service too, but it's more linear where I can go sequentially. I don't have to memorize a piece of the puzzle here, like a pixel of the TV screen here, and then another pixel of the TV screen here, and then another pixel here, and then I have to go through all the cards a couple times to really get the broad picture idea if I didn't understand the broad picture initially. What Notion does is that it's a toggle feature, so it's a slightly different way of testing yourself, but I can just go sequentially. And if I don't understand one of the questions I asked myself, then I bold it and I just go back to it next time, and I know where it is in relation to the other question, so I have more of a broad picture view of where that fits in terms of the big picture. So it's like a flashcard service thing, but it helps me understand it in a more broad picture sense compared to Anki. So I use this a bit more during my clinical years as opposed to my preclinical years of medical school. So that's Notion. That's what I use Notion for. Also, it's just really good to use it to type out notes or summarize, or I like Notion. Next, I used Notability, but only for my preclinical years when I was sitting at lectures and I wanted to annotate lecture slides. If you know what med school is like, you have to go through a lot of lecture slides, and I don't like printing out physical pieces of paper. So what I did, I just got the PDF on my iPad and then annotated it there. Then I could access those annotations on my computer. I made a video about it there. I used Notability to annotate lecture slides. Now, if you don't have an iPad, completely fine. The alternative to this is OneNote, I believe. You can download PDFs and then use typing to annotate lecture slides that way as well. Same thing, you just can't really draw diagrams as easily as you could if you had an iPad with the Apple Pencil. But to be fair, it pretty much does the same job. Now lastly, I use Essential Anatomy 5. This is specific to med school. Now, on my surgical runs, I spend a lot of time waiting around for the next surgery. I'm not sure if that's the case in every hospital in every country, but in New Zealand, that's definitely the case. So what I do to have a bit of context during the surgery. If not, I don't know anything. And so that if I get grilled, I know a little bit. I read what the surgery is, and then I will like study the anatomy slightly on Essential Anatomy 5 just before the surgery. And usually when you study it and then you see it and you ask questions or have the anatomy explained to you during the surgery, if you're very lucky and you have a helpful, registrar or consultant that does that for you, then it becomes a lot easier to learn. And they usually appreciate you putting in that little bit of work to understand it a little bit. So Essential Anatomy 5 is my go-to anatomy app. It's very convenient. I just whip out my phone because I usually have my phone with me in theatre. So yeah, I have a little bit of downtime in theatre, so I just look at the anatomy before surgeries. So those are the 5 apps, pretty much the only 5 apps that I use in medical school. There's probably a few more, but those are the main 5. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions about, productivity, medical school, that sort of thing, just send me a DM on Instagram or a comment down below. More than happy to help. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.